First, I want to set the stage because I think we're at an unusual time in government contracting and in the world, but in government contracting, there's a lot of things are changing. There's a lot of people that were there, then they're not there, then they might be back again. And a lot of the networks that we've built, you go to reconnect with someone and it says, oh, they're gone, or oh, they're gone. And then they pop up in another company. Let's just talk about what we mean by strangers. And we went over this last month when we did the session for women business owners. On LinkedIn, amongst the 230 million, we have federal buyers, we have peers and competitors, we have prospective employees and recruiters, and then generically, we have industry thought leaders and influencers. They're all strangers and they're all accessible. You just want to have the right approach to the right person. I'm Cecilia McDonald. I've been working in the GovCon space since 2018. My background is marketing and finance and nonprofit executive and fundraising, really mixed, but essentially, I've been asking people and talking to strangers my whole life. Okay, so what I call basic, from basic better to best. Basic is probably what everybody's doing now. We want to remember we're always communicating, even in silence. So this is, I'm assuming all of you, projecting, all of you have optimized basic profiles, right? You have a banner, a good tagline, information about how you can be contacted, and a good about section that tells people who you are, where you came from, and how you can help them. That's what we call a basic optimized profile. And I would hope that everyone's there. And probably by behavior, you're just liking posts, you're lurking, maybe not interacting. And just a note, something like 90% of LinkedIn traffic is lurking. People are reading your content, but you don't see them. So it's much harder to measure. But again, it's a passive. You don't have a growth strategy. You might go to a live event, but you don't engage and you don't connect and you don't follow up. You might leave like simple comments like, yeah, great job, or yeah, thanks for that, or whatever. You might be reposting other people's content. And one of the ways I measure where someone is in this process is I will look at your profile, and instead of looking at your posts, which is always interesting, I immediately go to your comments. Is this person interactive? Because that's where we see the last time you engaged, the quality of your engagement. And you can do that as you look at each other, your employees, and anyone that you're looking to build new relationships with. So basically, the three steps to growth, as I call them, is active, reactive, proactive. So active is being intentional. Reactive is responding and elevating. And then proactive is when you're following a path and you're deliberately strategic in your intent. Okay, so let's talk about active. And I call this putting out the breadcrumbs. So this is slightly better than just liking and lurking. This is where you're actually creating original content. And hopefully it's either educational, entertaining, provocative. It demonstrates your subject matter expertise. You understand that most LinkedIn users, like social media, they're scrolling, right? They're looking for something to catch their eye and stop. And that's where your strategy is. You want to hook. You want them to say, wow, what's that guy doing? Or what's that woman doing? So you might come up with infographics. You might reshare an article. If you're really brave, you might be recording short on topic videos, not like, hey, me and my dog are out walking, but more like, hey, if you do one thing about your CMMC status, do this one thing. Like those kind of quick, actionable value videos. But they're still what I would call two-dimensional. Hopefully you have a call to action telling people, hey, if you want more, do something else, but still they're early on. Again, selfies, surveys, call to actions. But we can do better than that. So then we move to what I call it poking the beast. You're still not getting too close with people, your arm's distance, but you are being more reactive. And this is where you're trying to get other people to see you, but you're not full brave to be reaching out to them directly. But you're kind of like waving your hand saying, look at me, look at me. So you're leaving thoughtful comments. and you're asking leading questions, questions that are open-ended that someone can respond to with another answer, not yes or no answers, but oh, right. And that also, and also, those kind of questions. You might be reposting this to your own network and adding your own expert commentary. And in any case, you might be recommending this particular author who's of value to your network, which is sending a signal to that author that, oh, what do they say? Friendly, right? I'm friend, not foe, right? So these are what I would call nonverbal conversations we're starting to have. And the really fascinating thing to me is people don't do this. I mean, it seems so pragmatic, but they don't even do this. 1% of LinkedIn, maybe it's gone up to 3% of LinkedIn members are writing original content and getting out there. But the algorithm is rewarding this. The algorithm is rewarding the quality of your content, your comments, how engaged you are, making sure they're original, not AI. The algorithm, if they think you are a real active participant that's adding value to the platform, they're going to push your content out further. So the old strategy of post, 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 post has actually now evolved into comment, comment, engage, comment, engage. The more we can stay and increase dwell time on the platform, the more conversations we're going to be able to have. So So continuing, now we're just going a little bit closer. We're still not having open conversations, but we're being a little bit more honest. And this is where I really want to stress not AI comments. And I've written a lot about this in my own posts, and LinkedIn is starting to mirror this back. If you use a LinkedIn tool to do your commenting, LinkedIn or a third-party tool, LinkedIn will punish you. They'll limit your reach. I mean, they have the power. They have the power. Anyways, we want to engage with our real voice because that's where our personality is. So instead of saying, oh, love this, which is a LinkedIn default, you say, I love this because. Instead of saying thoughtful, you say, I never considered this perspective. Or there's lots to think here. I'm curious about. So I'm curious about continues the conversation. This is why these kind of comments, this is why we say when you post, you don't want to post and ghost. You don't want to put this great content you're trying to share with your network and then disappear. Because what happens if the people you're trying to reach follow up on your platform here and then you're gone? So that's a quick way to lose credibility and of course defeats the whole goal. All right, there's another one. Don't just say this is helpful. Say helpful because I fully agree because. You can go deeper than that. You can ask a follow-up question. Well, have you seen this work in some other context? Or your point about this reminds me of this. Or you can reference a specific detail. I got pulled into a huge, I think there were 300 comments in this one friend's post because she had posted about how people plagiarize and sometimes take a content creator's content, throw it into ChatGPT, and then repost it as if it was their own instead of giving the original person, credit. And when you give credit, you actually get better credibility. But there were 300 comments because people kept saying, "Oh, I have that experience. I have that experience." It was a little trigger, but it got people warmed up and talking, and that's what we're trying to do. Stepping a little closer. All right. So then we're going to where we want to be. This is where we are actually creating momentum. So this is where we have a system and a process and an idea of targeted profiles that we want to go after. And we want to move the conversation out of those dynamic comments into direct messages. We are not selling. We're not pitching or just trying to trick people into, bait and switch. None of those. We're just simply trying to move from comments to make a personal connection to then put yourself on somebody's radar to personalize the relationship. If that goes well, the goal, of course, is, a coffee chat. Hey, why don't we join a Zoom call? And then, wherever that goes. And then where I want to pause here is so that's where we're going. Ideally, if things really pick up, then you're taking it offline from the Zoom to email and then you're doing strategy, and then you start to shift into Neil's world, which is really, okay, how do you do that? How do you get the appointment to go talk to the buyer? How do you, but you've followed this whole conversational warm up to even be ready to have those conversations. And in the course of doing this, your own profile is looking more interesting, more relevant, more dynamic. Remember at the beginning of this, I said you could go to someone's profile, look at comments, and just scroll through how they represent themselves. Are they talking about, are they just trying to sell their product? Are they opening conversation, sharing news, validating? Whatever it is, it's dynamic. And that would be the kind of conversation that you could expect to have, like if you went to a networking event. You wouldn't want somebody there pitching, pitching, pitching. You'd want somebody to say something, and then you'd say, oh, right, well, what about this? And what about this? And you would intentionally converse in a way that continues to move that conversation forward. So let's talk about some examples. And I love this part. One of the great ways to expand your network is to look at who's been looking at you. LinkedIn gives you a notice of who has stopped by your profile. That's high value because people don't come to your profile unless they have been prompted. They've seen you elsewhere on LinkedIn, or you're connected to somebody in common, or you look interesting in their searches. So you can't wait. Well, you can, but I don't recommend it. If someone comes through your profile, take the first step. Say, hey, I saw that you stopped by my profile. Are you exploring LinkedIn visibility, in my case, or are you just browsing? Either way, happy to connect. Or say to someone else, hey, I saw that you stopped by my profile. I see that we're both connected to, somebody in common. We're both connected to Neil, and we're in the GovCon group. Hey, let's connect. Soft, not pitching. I often compare this to when you're coming up to a stray dog. You want to be warm. You want no sudden moves. You want them to look and say, wow, that person seems nice. Okay, when they do connect, because a lot of times you make the connection and there was no associated message with it. I always recommend you send a warm message really quick after the connection. And just to put an idea, a tagline, a headline with that name. Hey, thanks for connecting. My company provides, whatever it is that you do, this service, not a big pitch, probably the length of your headline. We do this for them. Let me know if I could ever be of service. Thanks for connecting. Are you part of the GovCon Chamber community with Neil? He does a ton of free stuff. It's a great place to network. Open-ended comments like this create reciprocal conversations. When you are nice to someone else, it makes it very easy for people to respond. And that gets over that whole fear of other people's opinions. Well, what do I say? Well, agree, disagree. But it's a volleyball match, right? We just set. Okay, here's another one. Hey, nice to connect with you in the comments of Hillary's post. This is a topic, staffing in federal agencies, that my company is watching closely. I'd be happy to discuss it with you. So you've already warmed up because you were both interested in the same topic, because you were both interested in that post. So seize the opportunity. Hey, I really enjoyed your post about XYZ topic. Did you see the latest report with the data? Let me know if you want me to send you a link. This is really important because when we reach out to people in direct messages, we're not, you don't want more than 2 or 3 sentences. You don't want to bombard. You don't want to make people think. You want them to say, sounds good. The answer you're always going for is, sounds good. If they say, send me the link, you send it. And if they don't say it, no harm, no foul. Okay, here's another one. And I know Tanya's on the call, so I made this for her. Hey, I appreciated your post on healthcare changes. Are you connected to Tanya Davis of 5D Healthcare Management? She has current contracts at HRSA, and she's an HMS SME. I'd be happy to make an introduction. Being able to make an introduction is one of the greatest gifts that you can give to a fresh connection. So we should be generous with that. Hi, I read your post about facility improvements for Army installations. Are you connected to Hank Foster? They're 8A, they got experience, and they're in New Jersey. I'd be happy to make an introduction. You're not, all you're saying is, hey, I can nudge you. I'm not telling you to go buy from them. I'm not, overly promoting. I'm opening doors, talking to strangers, starting conversations. Here's another one. Hey, we were both in Neil's LinkedIn Live about getting into Navy next year. Do you already have traction or are you already in? Love to connect. This gives somebody an opportunity. You've set the commonality. We were in that event. You're specifying it's Navy. So if they're not interested, they'll say, no, but thanks. And you can find another way to continue. Or they're going to answer this specifically. No, or yes, we have traction. No, we don't have traction. That's your opportunity to, hey, well, can we get on a call? I'd like to introduce myself. Those kind of conversations are, where you would hope down the line to get into subcontracting. It's the little things, talking to strangers, that moves you closer to contracts. Okay, next one, of course, hey, a bunch of us at Neil's LinkedIn Live about getting into Navy are starting a strategy group. Are you interested? This is an amazing thing that's starting to happen. And I think Will Smith might be on the call. We're talking about other pop-up groups in tech, but pop-up groups and small focused um, strategy groups are a brilliant way to create community. Um, it's quick, it's shared, you're maximizing your shared resources. And I'll give you a little side example that was a precursor. I don't know if any of you guys were involved with Neil going back to like 2018 to 2020 when we really focused on hub zones. Maybe you could put that note in the chat for me to see. I know a lot of you have been with us for a long time, but one of the things we did when hub zones were going after an opportunity, we would get them on the same strategy call so that they could um, reach out to the specialist and say, there are several hub zones that are going to be responding to the sources sought. We'd like it to be pushed or considered for hub zone or veteran owned or women owned or whatever it was, but we got interest groups. Now, initially, we created those groups, so there's no reason why, if you're an 8A or a hub zone or whatever, that you couldn't take a leadership role. And the exponential reflective value to you, bringing a bunch of strangers together, you don't have to be the expert, you're just the catalyst. And people are looking, they're looking for someone to lead those conversations. They have the expertise, they can take it, but um, it's like bringing chocolate to a party. Everyone wants to talk to you. Um, Here's another one. I saw your post about the recent CMMC changes. I'm curious what you think about the deadlines they're proposing. I've been seeing a gentleman, I want to say Darren, who's writing exceptional work on CMMC right now and doing a lot of call to actions. Hey, we're having a group meeting. Hey, you should do it. Uh, you know, there is strength in numbers. We should be rallying around each other, particularly in this kind of chaotic environment that we see happening. Okay, I saw your post about the recent CMMC changes. Would you have a few minutes to talk about how we can spotlight this better on LinkedIn for small businesses? This does two things, well, three things. One is you've established the commonality of CMMC, you've limited the amount of time you want to talk, and you're being very clear that you want to talk, but you're not pitching them. I don't want to sell you my expertise, but you're also suggesting, hey, we can um, what we call mutual reflection. Hey, we can collaborate to elevate the focus on CMC in the post, in the visibility on LinkedIn, because this is a common interest. So creating common interest, creating opportunities to talk about that, that's a way to start talking to strangers and getting on their radar so that they're not just scrolling past us. Okay, here's another one for people you haven't talked to in a long time. So this is one that I use a lot. I don't think any of you guys have gotten it, but hey, it's been a while. Just wanted to get back on your radar in case I can help. I'm happy to brainstorm anytime about your GovCon visibility and what's working for others. No pitch, no pressure. What is valuable here is to say, I'm not selling them. And what's working for others is a great way to say, you're connected. We can share what we've learned. And it's really important, especially if you're a service industry person like myself, coach, consulting, you want to say in advance, I'm actually not telling you what I'm selling. I'm just, we're already connected. I'm just warming that back up again and reminding you why we connected in the first place. Okay, so the same way with getting back on the radar for the next one, we finally have a way to measure our visibility. Now, these are examples, my personal examples, because we did the federal visibility score with GovCon in a box. And it was a great way to remind people, hey, we've consolidated this information. Let me know if you want it. It's free and a game changer. What was important here is, um, I think it's really important to admit when you screw it up. So you know me, I'm very, very enthusiastic. Sometimes I have to put it in check. When the federal visibility score came out, I was so excited because I could see the potential and we were getting people into the 100 club and you'd be crazy not to want it. And so I was reaching out to people, hey, here's your profile and you could just do these things. And and then I quickly realized I was just overwhelming people with my enthusiasm. And when I dialed it way back and just said, hey, let me know if you want a link. It's free. It's not I'm not, no pitch, no pressure. Then the responses to my outreach skyrocketed. So sometimes we have to remember, even if it's no pitch, we have to modulate the enthusiasm. Sharing, there's that. Um, okay, again, another example. Nice connecting with you in the comments. We did work on this topic. Would you like a link to our white paper? Or if you're going to do something like a lead magnet or a free resource, and you say to people, hey, comment, DM, or white paper or something like that in the comments, and I'll send you the information. When people do that, this is the low introductory message that you could send to them. Again, no pitch, no pressure. You're just setting up the call. If they take the call, that's when you have your introductory and you see where that conversation goes. Um, Moving on, another good example. I appreciated your post about federal staffing. Can you point me to where I can find more data? This is a talking to strangers sort of lead that lets the other person demonstrate their authority, experience, wisdom. Everybody likes to be recognized for what you know. Now, you have to mean this though. Please, please, please don't send messages that you don't mean, because the moment you lose your credibility for honesty and authenticity, you can't get it back. Um, on new connections. Hey, thanks for connecting. I'd love to hear more about your work. Are you open to a quick Zoom next week? Um, I think you guys know how to do that, but it's important that once you make a connection, that you try to do a follow right away while you're still on their radar. Because typically we make connections, we're so excited, and then those people, you drop along and you forget why you ever originally connected with them. So top of mind is really good. And it doesn't take as long as maybe this sounds. You just schedule part of your day, whatever part of the day that you're the warm and friendliest. Maybe you do it with your morning coffee. And then you just work it through during the week. Here's another new strategy that we've been doing. Hey, are you going to the Navy and Marine Corps Procurement Conference? A bunch of us from Neil's group are planning to meet up in real life. Are you interested? People love to be invited. And this one has gotten great traction because what happens at conferences, and you can all testify this, you tend to go and then you get a little nervous and then you see your friends and then you fall into that vortex where you just talk to those people who make you feel safe and interesting. And then you might not expand that circle. So if you say in advance, hey, come on into this thing, it's a warm invitation and everybody wants to be seen. Likewise, hey, are you going to TechNet in Augusta? We're in cyber, so you're stating your SME. It's our first time, which makes you vulnerable, and this is the event. We're looking for tips and to meet up. Again, it's just such an open, friendly um, invitation. If someone doesn't respond to this, they're either not checking their messages, they're really busy, or they're just not looking to expand their network because everybody loves to say one tip, go get this, go there, don't waste your time here, whatever the tip is. Or they'll say, hey, I'm going, let's jump on a call. Anything could happen. Okay, I've been enjoying your content about fraud. This is for Lisa. She does great work on fraud. This is just warm without action. I don't have experience, but I appreciate what you're doing. in this message, this is going to tell Lisa, oh, this is a good person. Maybe I'll get on a call. Maybe I'll keep refining what they're doing. Maybe I'll go look at what she's writing about and engage her work because we're doing both things. We're showing appreciation to others for the good value they're bringing to LinkedIn, but we're also trying to attract people to us and the value that we're bringing in. We're getting down to these. We're doing great. Hi, I just finished an article about federal visibility. I'd love your take on it. Feedback is always welcome. Obviously, that's just such a great open door. If you think it's helpful, could you give it a comment or maybe a reshare? More times than not, people have responded to this and then given me a value added, like, hey, the next time you do that article, could you do it from a different angle? Or could you give us more information or some resources or references, whatever it is? But then I'm actually having conversations with actual people and they're moving from strangers to acquaintances and community members. And that is the goal. Even negative feedback's good feedback, in my opinion. Um, really, but at the end of the day, procrastination kills productivity. There are so many people in our community who I know this, but don't do this. Like everyone says, yeah, that's exactly what we should do. We should do that. And they never do. What is the one thing that makes you procrastinate? Because everybody comes to LinkedIn. We know we're there. There's, 230 million people, but not everybody is talking to each other. I just want to tell you about a program that I'm doing in August. I'd love for you to learn about it. So if that's okay, I'm just going to tell you very briefly. In August, I'm doing a GovCon Marketing and Visibility Sprint. This is what they call the STEAM program. It's a system for tactical engagement and momentum. And it's a program designed to get you to stop procrastinating. Inside of this program, it's going to be a small group, it's high touch, it's 4 weeks. And the goal is to position you, reframe you, and give you the confidence so that you can start talking to strangers. Make sure you have your opening lines and know how to take things to the next step. So we'll work on positioning and reframing. We'll have peer accountability and testing. So if we're working on something, we can get the feedback from others in this small cohort. We're going to have deliberate outreach strategies. I'm going to tell you where you can find people and how to approach them. We have templates, a content plan, and then this one, just a special bonus for me. Usually I work with either retainer clients or VIP clients where I do a deep dive. And what I'm offering as part of this limited product, because it's just August, I probably won't do anything else again until October, November, but I will give you a deep dive. I'll go into your federal visibility assets. So there's your marketing assets, and I'll audit them and I'll give you a video recording, your LinkedIn personal profile, your company page, your web page, your DSBS or SBS profile, and your capability statement. And I'll record a video and give you a whole mirroring of what I see, which then would also be what buyers and potential teammates would see. And I'll give you a recording and all of that. And I'm running a special offer on this. It's only $16.97. I'm giving a third off just for this because, we can do this. And this is a chance, and it's summer. So it's an opportunity to get something done. So when you come back in September, you hit the ground running. Okay, so talk to me about that. LinkedIn for GovCon /momentum. I think well, it's not there. You can DM me or just go to the website. But I would love to help you. So going back to what we've talked about today, the 3 phases of talking to strangers and moving them from people you see to people that you know. We want to activate. We want to share original content that is attracting the right federal buyers and the right teammates. So that means content that's relevant and on message and in your niche. We want to reactivate. That means re-engage with other people's contents so that you're putting yourself on their radar and on their profile. So the goal is 10 to 15 comments per day. And every time somebody responds to your comment, you respond. This is both for value and then to engage the LinkedIn algorithm. And then finally, proactive. We're moving from comments that are building into direct messages where we actually can create real opportunities for face-to-face connections. So that's our goal. And that's our goal for this month. So then I would go back to what I asked you in the beginning. You've seen all the examples. I gave you about 30 different ways you could start conversations. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most confident, how do you feel about talking to strangers? Do you feel that you could start tomorrow and launch out? Do you feel you can't? That's a 0. Or you totally can? That's a 10. If you could drop that in the chat, I would love your feedback.